continue with the second part of the story, All Summer in a Day. In the last video, we had seen when the boys had decided that we should put Margaret in a closet before the teacher comes. So let's continue from there onwards. No, said Margaret, falling back. Margaret said no. She tried to object. They searched about her, caught her up, and bore her, protesting, and then pleading, and then crying back into a tunnel, a room, a closet where they slammed and locked the door. They all gathered around her. She was crying, she was pleading that please leave me, please leave me. But all of them did what? They all together took her up, and then they moved into a tunnel, a room, a closet, and closed the door. They stood looking at the door and saw it tremble from her beating and throwing herself against it. They stood there and they could hear that how she was trying to beat against the door in order to open it, and she was throwing herself against it. They heard her muffled cries. Then smiling, they turned and went out and back down the tunnel just as the teacher arrived. They were all smiling when they could hear that she was crying in a very low voice as if a helpless child. And then after smiling, they returned back from the tunnel back to the classroom where the teacher had just arrived. Ready, children? She glanced at her watch. Then she came and asked the children if they all were ready after looking at her watch. Yes, said everyone. Are we all here? Yes. Then she said that are we all students available here, present here? They all said yes. The rain slacked still more. They crowded to the huge door. The rain stopped. Then after that the rain stopped. They all made groups towards the entrance door. It was as if in the midst of a film concerning an avalanche, a tornado, a hurricane, a volcanic eruption, something had first gone wrong with the sound apparatus, thus muffling and finally cutting off all noise, all of the blasts and repercussions and thunders, and then second, ripped the film from the projector and inserted in its place a beautiful tropic slide which did not move or tremor. The world ground to a standstill. The silence was so immense and unbelievable that you felt your ears had been stuffed or had lost their hearing altogether. The children put their hands to their ears and stood apart. The door slipped back, and the smell of the silent waiting world came into them. Now here this paragraph represents a very beautiful scenic appearance. They are saying that it seems as if tornado or a hurricane or a tempest had occurred, and in between when the sound of the rain had stopped, it seemed as if something wrong has happened to the sound apparatus, because for years they had been listening to such a sound. So it seemed as if some sound problem has occurred in that film which was going on. And then because they had been hearing the thunders, the repercussions of the rain, the tattling drums of the rain on the roofs of the houses, all had stopped altogether. So it seemed as if in the mid of the film something wrong has occurred. Second was that instead of that, a beautiful tropical scene has been placed, which will never move, and it will be silent and beautiful. And the silence that occurred at that time was so immense that it would seem as if both your ears have stopped working. They could not hear anything. The children, they put their hands on their ears, and as the door slid back, it was moving back, the outside world, the beautiful world was open to them, which was silent, and its smell was amazing. The sun came out. It was a color of flaming bronze, and it was very large, and the sky around it was a blazing blue tile color. Now how did the sun look? It was just like a flaming bronze type of round shape which was very big, and the sky was all blue in the form of a tile, and the jungle burned with sunlight as the children released from the spell, rushed out, yelling into springtime. Even the jungle that used to look dark had brightened up with the rays of the sun, and the children, they all moved from there as if from their prison they had been released, and they started moving into this outside world. They started shouting in this springtime. Now don't go too far, called the teacher after them. You have only 2 hours, you wouldn't want to get caught out. The teacher said that, see, you people don't have to go too far. Only 2 hours are there at your disposal, and you know that. And if you'll be left out, then you'll be caught up. But they were running and turning their faces up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. They were taking off their jackets and letting the sun burn their arms. But they didn't listen. They were running and you can say shouting here and there, and they wanted to feel the warmth of the sun by putting their faces above, and they wanted to have the warmth of the sun entirely in their body, so they removed their jackets so that the heat of the sun could burn their arms. Oh, it's better than the sun lamps, isn't it? Much, much better. Then they talk to each other. It's better than the sun lamps that we have at our school, at our home. Then the other children said, yes, it's much better. They stopped running and stood in the great jungle that covered Venus, that grew and never stopped growing, tumultuously, evenly, even as you watched it. Then immediately they stood still in the huge jungle, which used to grow continuously on that planet Venus. Even if they were looking at it, still it was growing. It was keeping on working. It was a nest of octopi, clustering up great arms of flesh like weed, wavering, flowering in this brief string. It seemed as if it was a huge octopus in which there were so many branches of flowers, weeds, and they were all wavering and fluttering in the spring. It was a color of rubber and ash. Now, as we know that if there is no sunlight, naturally the jungle will not be green. It will be dark, black color. So it looked as if it was of rubber and ash. This jungle from the many years without sun. That is why the jungle was black in color, not green. It was a color of stones and white cheeses and ink. It was the color of the moon. So here they are telling us the color of the jungle. That is, it was the color of stones. Stones are black or greyish in color. Take a white cheeses, if you spill the ink, that type. And plus it looked as if it was the color of the moon, and moon is white. So some parts of the jungle were white like moon. Some parts were white, you can say greyish. Some part was bluish, blackish. The children lay out, laughing on the jungle mattress, and heard it sigh and squeak under them, resilient and alive. Now the children, they lie down. They were trying to experience the heat of the sun. It seemed as if they were lying on the mattress of the jungle, and they could hear the squeaking and the sighing of it. They ran among the trees, they slipped and fell, they pushed each other, they played hide and seek and tag, but most of all they squinted at the sun until the tears ran down their eyes. Now since they could hear the squeaking of the jungle, they could experience that the jungle was alive. And after that they tried to move around the trees, they tried to play hide and seek, tag, the tug of war and all. But most of the time they wanted to squint at the sun and look at it continuously till they got tears in their eyes. And they put their hands up to that yellowness and that amazing blueness, and they breathed of the fresh air and listened to the silence which suspended them in a blessed sea of no sound and no motion. And with their little hands they used to just like catch that yellow color of that sun, and they wanted to experience that blue color of the sky. They were taking the fresh air which till now they never got. and they could hear only the silence, the extreme silence, which was just like a blessing on them. They looked at everything and savored everything. They looked at each and every part of the jungle. They looked everywhere. They tried to just absorb those memories inside them. Then, wildly like animals escaped from their caves, they ran and ran in shouting circles. They were so happy that they started taking rounds in circles and then shouting and in happiness. They ran for an hour and did not stop running. For an hour they ran in a circle, but they did not stop in between. And then in the midst of the running, one of the girls wailed. Everyone stopped. The girl standing in the open held out her hand. "Oh, look, look," she said, trembling. They came slowly to look at her open palm. In the center of it, cupped and huge, was a single raindrop, and she began to cry looking at it. They glanced quietly at the sun. "Oh, oh." Now, since they were running in circle, after some time a girl started crying. She said, "Look what I have got." All of them came close to her and they saw a big droplet of rain in her cupped hand. And they all said, "Oh, oh." A few cold drops fell on their noses and their cheeks and their mouths. After that, they could see that some droplets were falling on their cheeks, mouth, and nose, and the sun faded behind a stir of mist. And immediately the sun hid behind the mist. A wind blew cold around them. They turned and started to walk back towards the underground house, their hands at their sides, their smiles vanishing away. Now, when the sun had gone away, they moved and turned around towards that underground houses, and they had put their hands on their sides as if their happiness has gone forever. A boom of thunder startled them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. Now, as soon as a thunderbolt started, all the children started running, one after the other, pushing each other. Lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile, a half mile. The sky darkened into midnight in a flash. And immediately a lightning started, first at 10 miles away, then 5 miles away, then 1 mile away, then half a mile away. And immediately the entire sky grew dark as if night. They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. Then they closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever. First of all, they stood at the doorway to have a look at the rain. But as the rain started growing in its speed, they closed the door and then they could hear the avalanche and the thunderbolts, the huge droplets of the rain falling down. "Will it be 7 years more?" "Yes, 7. Then one of them gave a little cry. "Margaret." "What?" Then they all asked the teacher, "Will it be 7 years more?" Then she said, "Yes, 7 years. And then one of them immediately remembered that they had locked up Margaret, and that child cried, "Margaret, what? She's still in the closet where we locked her. Margaret." They stood as if someone had driven them like so many stakes into the floor. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced out at the world that was raining now, and raining steadily. They could not meet each other's glances. Their faces were solemn and pale. They looked at the hands and feet, their faces down. "Margaret," one of the girls said. "Well?" No one moved. "Go on," whispered the girl. They walked slowly down the hall in the sound of the cold rain. They turned through the doorway to a room in the sound of the storm and thunder. Lightning on their faces, blue and terrible. They walked out to the closet door slowly and stood by it. Behind the closet door was only silence. They unlocked the door even more slowly and let Margaret out. Now, when that child said that Margaret, the other said what? Then that child reminded that we have locked Margaret and she is still there in the closet. and it seemed to all of them as if they have done something wrong in their life. Some guilt feeling started, you can say, disturbing them from inside. They looked at each other, but they could not even look at each other directly. And the rain was going on steadily outside. Their faces were solemn and pale, and they could not even have the courage to talk to each other or whatever because of the guilt feeling. One of the girls said, well, no one moved, and then the girl said that go on. Then all of them moved slowly towards that room, passing through the tunnel, and then moving towards that closet. There was no sound behind that closet. They silently opened the closet door, and Margaret was out. So this shows that all of the children were then very much guilty of their act that they had done with Margaret, because Margaret was the only girl left who could not see the bright sun. So this is the story that we have seen in All Summer in a Day.